Welcome everyone to another edition of What's News in Healthcare Social Media. I'm Kathy Brown of Brown Knows Social Media, and today I have Michael Mason with me of Plus My Reach. Would you like to say hi, Michael?
Hi everybody, as Kathy's already said, I'm Michael Mason from Plus My Reach, and I think the topic today is interactive posts.
Well, that's definitely the reason I brought you in here, Michael, because as we talk about the news of the day, I thought that that really trumped everything else. So we're going to take a really quick tour of some of the other topics that I also flagged for today's discussion, but we're going to do it very quickly because I want to get into the interactive post discussion, which you are going to provide a lot of your expertise in. So are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So before we get into the major topic that we were talking about, I wanted to just talk very briefly, give everyone a heads up that Google Plus mobile app has just gotten a facelift. And if you haven't already gotten it, you might want to go out and try to update your app. There are some really neat features. I've had an opportunity to peruse them. And one of my favorite features is the fact that we can now get into communities very easily on our mobile app. Have you had a chance to look at it at all, Michael?
Yeah, I was playing around with my mobile the other day, and I noticed the interface had changed. There's a few things I didn't like, but the ease of being able to access pages, the pages that I manage, because I manage a lot of pages, and the ease of getting into communities, that makes life a lot easier. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I was very pleased with that. It was a little difficult to figure out where they put things at first, especially how to decide which circles I was sharing my posts with. So I did make a very quick tutorial that I put on my website. I've shared it on the event page so that people can get a really quick, here's where you find everything. So we're not going to go through any more of that because I think it's pretty self-explanatory and I want to get to the meat of today. So we're going to move to the next news, which is Pinterest now allows you to pin maps to your boards to give more information about the subject of your boards. And the reason I want to bring this up to people is I don't know if there's really a place for this in healthcare, but I do think that it is something to consider. If you have put together a board that represents your facility, maybe the interior or the different floors, the different services, your staff, you may also want to include a map so that people know, especially if you're a health system, so that people can see the location of all your different areas, and that will give people more reference, something that they can go to. So I'm going to dive right in now, Michael, because I'm really excited to talk with you today about interactive posts. And
Okay.
to give a little background of why I'm bringing this up today, interactive posts are not new. They've been around for quite a while, and when I first heard about them, I thought that they were really exciting, and so I went out there and I set out to get them going on my profile, and I followed the steps. I even got through creating the API for some of the things, and then I couldn't make it work, and I gave it up. And then I saw another post about it a few months later, and I kind of went back to it, quickly gave up, and now as I'm hearing more and more about it, Forbes put out an article and they also highlighted it, and I decided it was time to dive in and find someone who could really give us all a handle on this because I think it's a great tool. So can you take it away, Michael, and explain what interactive posts are?
Okay. On a very basic level, an interactive post is a post that you interact with. It's not just a static link that you throw up into Google that creates an image, etc. What I have is a screen share that shows the difference between a regular post that's just shared, a shared link, and an interactive post. And I'm just going to bring that up now. You'll see on the left-hand side here, I've got a standard link share. And this is a link to our subscriptions page on Plus My Reach. Now, it looks okay. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's perfectly fine to use. But the interactive post on the right-hand side, you'll see that there are certain things that are different. For example, the text at the top is completely customizable. I can set that in the content of the website so that when somebody clicks the button to share the post, it automatically fills out this top box with Plus My Reach, Google Plus Analytics, discover the true reach of your Google Plus events. The user themselves can add their own text, and I'll come on to that in a moment. Further down, you've got the image and you've got the static content on the right-hand side. And it says here that the image and the call to action text are taken from the metadata. Now, if anybody doesn't understand what the metadata is, basically when you look in Google and you look at the search results, you'll see a link to the search result and then underneath it some text. Generally, that text is taken from the description metadata tag. And it's the same for an interactive post. So you can really customize that and put a very specific call to action there. For example, it may be some special offer or deal that you have that's only available through September, for example. So you can put that information there. The key difference and what sets it apart from any other type of post on Google is the call to action. You'll see here ours says subscribe, but I think there are 100 different types. View, watch now. I think things like get the offer. You know, you can pick from something like 90 or 100 different calls to action. And beneath that, you've got the +1, the share, and the comment box, which are just like a standard post. So this is how it looks when it's actually in your Google Plus stream. This is what it looks like when you're sharing. So if somebody goes to Plus My Reach now, or one of my other websites that uses interactive posts, there will always be a call to action there that says something different. It won't just say share this. It will say, like on Plus My Reach, I put help Pippi spread the word, you know, just something different, yeah? And I may be able to put something different on there. When I click that button as a user, an action is performed and it says, okay, is this user authorized? No, let's go to the API and we'll authorize them. Fine. Once they're authorized, this dialog box pops up that I've got on the screen now. And you'll see the text at the top is editable. So the user themselves can put their own content in there. They can tag people if they want. The image, they cannot change. The text to the right of the image, they cannot change. And the call to action button. But one thing they can change is the to box. So they can share this post with their community, circles, an individual, or public, as I've done here. Now for me, that's what sets an interactive post apart. It gives people the ability to be able to take content from a website, share it into the Google Plus stream, and target specific people, or make it public. You can put your own hashtags in. You can do that with a regular post, but the interactive post has a couple of other neat advantages. I was talking with Kathi about it before we went live. One key advantage to an interactive post that I personally like, the person sharing the link cannot change the image. It's set within the code. So if I want my company logo there, or a particular image that says special offer, discount, whatever, free Flugel binders on Fridays, that image is there, and the user that shares that content cannot change it. For a brand, for a hospital perhaps, or for anybody that wants to make sure that their brand is portrayed consistently, that is really important, I think, because they can control how their image is portrayed and how everything is presented. I kind of hope that explained the difference between a regular post and an interactive post.
Yes, and what I thought was interesting about this feature, especially in healthcare marketing, is if you have a particular event that is targeted to a particular, whether it's a health issue or a lifestyle, the people who share this are not only sharing the content, but they're sharing the call to action. So I think it's a really great way for healthcare efforts to be spread in a whole nother way. And you were also talking about the analytics of this, that you were thinking you have some reason to believe that this is actually more advantageous than just a traditional post. You want to get into that?
Yeah, well, I don't want to get too technical, but there's a term in web design called the clicks to bricks ratio. And the clicks to bricks ratio very basically is this. For all the people that look at something that you're pushing out on the web, be it a banner, be it a link, be it a post, the clicks to bricks ratio is how many of those people click and then buy. That's basically what it comes down to, because we need to convert. Now, we may not be selling something, we may be offering information. it's still a transaction. We're offering a link and we want people to come through to the website, look at the content and perform an action based on that content. It could be, I don't know, it could be a local virus outbreak, for example, and they want to make sure that the local populace knows about it. It could be a new medicine on the market and they want to publicise it. I can tell you categorically, and I can do the research and bring statistics to back this up. I've tested with a regular post and an interactive post. The interactive post, generally speaking, gets about twice as many click-throughs. And it's purely and simply because it looks different. People are not used to seeing it in the streams, and when they see it, it draws the attention. If everybody used interactive posts, then everybody's stream would look the same. If you look at my stream, you will probably see the occasional post that says, watch now, subscribe, special offer, or whatever. And that's what drives the traffic to the website. Then it's my job on the website to put a nice call to action and get people to actually convert on the website. We've noticed, particularly on one website I was working on, we had regular links going through, and the bounce rate, which means the number of people that just left the website, was running at 40%. When we used interactive posts and improved the content on the site, the bounce rate reduced to below 20%. So for me, it works.
Well, there's a question that we have out on our viewership. Scott Scowcroft is asking, he says, standard posts can be embedded in WordPress websites. Interactive posts too?
Yes. This is a separate issue, but kind of on a similar vein. If you were to share an interactive post to your stream, and that post gets a lot of engagement, a lot of comments, a lot of +1s, reshares, you can embed that post directly in your website, yes. In fact, while we're talking, I'll just make sure, because I'm pretty sure I've actually done this with my own posts. Because that's another neat feature of Google, the ability to be able to embed a post within a website. So I have one here. Click.
And as you're doing that, I want to...
Post?
Yes? The answer is yes?
Yeah, you can.
All right. It's been determined. So another reason that I wanted to bring you on for this discussion is I have been very frustrated trying to use interactive posts, trying to get it set up. And I like to think of myself as not a techie, but I can usually follow good directions. And I had some problems. I even got to the point where I was setting up the API, and I couldn't get it to enable with my business page. I never got to that next step. And I wondered if you would address what you shared with me, because I think this is important information to tell people.
Yeah, so the people know that are watching, I'm a web designer, or I call myself a web application developer, and I pretty much spend all day looking at code, writing code, playing with code, APIs, and it's not you, it's just so damn hard. I actually did it myself, and I did the exact same thing you did. I thought, oh, this is easy, click, 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 right, put the code up. It's not working. Why isn't it working? Okay. Went off onto a forum, posted. Oh, you need an API. I said, what? I need an API to share a post. Yeah. Okay. So off I went, and I got the API set up. Didn't take me too long. It's not rocket science. And as somebody's asked in the comment stream if we can go into the API, unfortunately it's too in-depth. However, it's not difficult. And what I'm more than happy to do is come back with a select group of people that actually really want to do this, and we'll put the API together, together. It's not that difficult. I'll even share some links after the Hangout. I've got a walkthrough that hopefully will be able to help people. Some links to Google resources as well, because it really is worthwhile. Because once you have the API created, you can do so many other things with it. Now, for anybody watching that's thinking, do I have an API? There's a very simple way of finding out. Does your website use social login, i.e. the little button that says login with Google? If you've got that on your website and it's working, you've got an API.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's a very easy way of finding out, because I know a lot of people here probably won't have access to the higher functions, if you like, or the APIs or the HTML or the server. But if you've got a Google Plus login on your website, you have to have an API. So then all you need is the API key, which the web developer can give you very quickly.
So now, would you like to get into your little trick of getting Google Analytics, and can we get into that today?
Yeah, that's not a problem. One of the things I did some time ago, there was a conversation on Google about how do I track my posts' engagement. Now, that's quite a difficult one because I was looking at Whatno website, and I've detailed analytics going back years, and I thought, surely I'll be able to find out where my traffic is coming from. So I went to analytics, social, Google. Fantastic. It tells me how many people are coming from Google, the book of faces, Twitter, everywhere else. But what it didn't tell me is which specific post. And that kind of upset me because I thought, well, hang on. If one particular post is doing really well and driving a lot of traffic to my website, I want to know about it. So I found a way around it. Whenever I share a link over to Google, if I want to track that link, all I do at the end of the URL, I put a question mark, and then I could just put something like page equals 1, something like that. It's called a query string. And there are examples up on my blog, which I'm going to link to as well. And it goes into some detail about it. Because that way, if I put a post out there, let's say, for example, I put a post out about interactive posts, I can then go to analytics and it will say this many people came from social. Okay, but of those people, I can then find out how many clicked that exact post. So I know exactly how many people came to my website because of that post. And this is why I was saying earlier about the inadequacy of analytics when it comes to measuring traffic to your website with a regular post. You can do this with a regular post as well, but that little call to action as well, you know, with the offer or you know, watch now if it's a video, a tutorial video, that drives traffic to your website. And I know that, for example, if I put a post up on Google, I don't put everything on the post because sometimes it can be quite lengthy, but I'll put the synopsis, the bullet points, and say, if you want to read more, click read more. And it actually says, big box, read more. And away they go to the website. But to track the actual details of the post, like I just said a moment ago, I think I'll put a link to a resource I've got that talks about it in a lot more detail, and hopefully explains it in a way that anybody can use, because to actually do this, you do not need to know programming, coding, anything. You just need to know how to type. That's it. It's really simple.
Well, you're just a wealth of information, and you know, a lot of people couldn't figure these things out on their own. It's really nice to have someone like you that can kind of explain it, and I'm going to see if we can work together at another time to have the opportunity to actually walk through the steps, maybe either with me or with me and others. If you at some point have the time to do that and explain these, then we can pass this along to people that are interested in doing it, because I think it's so worthwhile.
Nah, I'd be happy to do that as well, definitely.
Well, I'm hoping that in about 10 minutes I'm going to start inviting people to join our Hangout to ask questions, and I'm sure that you've already created a lot of questions to the people who are already watching, but before I get to that point, I want to have just a moment to mention a little bit about your Plus My Reach, which is something that I'm really appreciating, and I want to plant some seeds with people. I know that you're still evolving and you're continually adding features, but I want to share with people what Plus My Reach is all about, because I think this is one of my cool tools that I found today. Even though it's been out there, I didn't know it. Plus My Reach is able to give information, insights, and analytics for events, Google
Yep.
Plus events, which I'm really excited about because I'm a Hangout host, and several of my audience viewers are Hangout hosts. So if you're listening, you need to go to this and check it out. I have signed up for it. I have a paid subscription because I wanted to play with it and see how it works. And And we're not going to get into all the details today, but I would like you to just give them a synopsis of why you started forming this and what it does accomplish today. And then I'm hoping that you will be a Hangout guest for me later, specifically to debut some of the new features that you're going to add later on. So can you tell people a little bit about Plus My Reach?
Yep, sure. Some months ago, I was approached by Laurie Lazure, who's now a partner, about tracking events and engagement on events, Hangouts. And she told me what she needed, and I said, okay, give me 24 hours and I'll see what I can do. 12 hours later, I had some very, very embryonic, rudimentary code running, and it was displaying data. I couldn't really make a lot of sense of the data, to be honest, but it was working, and I thought, okay, now I need to look at this and see if I can, you know, get a little bit more of a handle on the data. What we've done since then is now we have a system that will tell you, let's say, for example, you invite 1,000 people to an event and 200 say they're going. Well, that's great. But what Plus My Reach does is it actually takes those numbers, stores them, and then completely ignores them. And then it goes to the event itself, and it says, how many people engaged? Of those people that engaged, how many of them engaged 2, 3, 4 times? How many shared? How many commented? How many clicked +1? It then looks at how many people engaged and how many people were active engagers. For example, 2, 3 more actions, and it gives you an engagement index for the event. So that gives you an idea from a host's point of view of how interesting the subject was, how active people were on the event page. But more than that, and one of the key things that I use Plus My Reach for, whenever we run an event, we run a report after the event. And it gives us a list of every single person that engaged with the event. And that could be in the notification stream. So for example, if you invite me to an event, I can say, yes, I'm going, click +1 and share. But none of those actions show up on the event page itself. But it actually takes my profile and puts me in the list of engagers. So you, as a host, can have a look at that list and go click, 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 add to circle, add to circle, add to circle, and send all those people a message. So instead of circling the 200, 500 people that said going, you're actually circling the people that engaged with the event. And what we found, we're running our 4th show this week on monetizing Hangouts. Week on week, 2 things are happening. More people have engaged with the events, and more people are watching live, purely and simply because of the method that we're using. And it's a system that's available to others as well. And we are doing other things with Plus My Reach, which we're going to release hopefully in the next week or 2, which should generate a lot of interest. I see we've got some other people in the film strip now.
Yep.
Great.
Sorry, I didn't mean to catch you off guard there.
No problem.
I sent invitations to the people who had been commenting on the event page. So if you're interested in joining this conversation now, if you look in your notifications, you should find an invite. And I thought I would give those people first dibs on it. And then I'm going to also post this in the event page so people can find it. Unfortunately, I wasn't thinking ahead, and I just closed it before I got that posted, so hopefully I can get this on very quickly. I want to give people an opportunity to ask questions and to talk about the things that we talked about today.
Yeah.
So I'm putting it on the event page now.
Well, I know that Wayne and I know Scott and I know each other. Hi, Scott.
Hi there.
I know that Wayne and Scott had a similar kind of question about putting comments into WordPress. Now, I'm not a WordPress developer. I use Joomla, but I do know that there are plugins available. However, you don't need the plugins. All you need is the ability to put raw HTML into your WordPress article, and then you go to the post, click on the little drop-down menu, and click Embed Post, and then put that content in the WordPress article, and bingo, the article's there on the website.
Cool.
I actually do something else, and I wrap the code in a class or a selector so that I can center align the comment on the website, and then I put a nice rounded edge around it and a drop shadow just to make it stand out a little from the rest of the content. But then that's me.
Right. Well, I love the new feature on the Plus My Reach. You can put the one event in there, and it'll do all 3 reports for you.
Oh, the schedule reporting, yeah.
Right. That's awesome. So.
Yeah, we launched that, I think, version 1.8, 1.9, because most of the features you see on Plus My Reach come from my own frustration or Laurie's frustration or one of the beta testers. Because what we do is we say, hey guys, wouldn't it be really neat if we could do this? And then I go away and write the code, and the guys test it, and then they give me the thumbs up, say, yeah, we're happy with that, Mick, it works fine, and we launch it. The schedule reports facility, I had to leave alone for an entire week and just leave it running to test it, and it was so frustrating because I wanted to tell people we had this facility, but by the same token I had to let it run a natural course of events and run reports, and people are liking it. It runs reports for them, they get an email and it says, hey, you've got a new report on Plus My Reach. And one of the things that people are finding surprising, as Kathi did herself, is the actual reach of a Hangout. You may think because 5 people, 10 people are watching live that you're not really reaching that many people. You are. And one person I know personally was actually on the cusp of stopping doing Hangouts altogether. And when I told this person what their reach was and the people that they were engaging with, because they didn't know everybody, and I showed them the list, and I said, look at these people here. These guys are following you and they're commenting on you. That actually gives this person the impetus to carry on doing Hangouts, and I was really pleased by that.
Well, and I'd like to share something too. When I ran the report, I posted our event page for this event at, I don't know what time it was last night, at maybe 7:30 or so. And an hour later, I created my Plus My Reach account, and I put the link in, and I ran the report for the first time. And literally, it had been out there for 1 hour, and it showed, I forget how many, 39 engagements or something, and then what the reach was, and then the ultimate reach was over 2 million. That just really blew me away.
Yeah, the reality of it is that you are probably not going to hit every single one of those 2 million people. However, one thing I keep reminding people is an event page is a landing page. You can bring people back to it. So let's say, for example, in your community in 3 months' time, somebody mentions interactive posts. You can point them to the event. They can ask questions. I'll get a notification of that question even 3 months later, and I can respond to that. So the event page itself can be used and reused and reused. So the potential of reaching 2 million, 4 million, 5, 10 million people can actually be realized if the event page is used as it should be.
Well, and I think what was useful to me is when I look at most people that are viewing my Hangouts, most people have about 500, sometimes 1,000 connections, circle connections. So you would take a lot of those 500 to 1,000 circles to make 2 million. But when I saw that it was basically representing the ripple effect, that I saw what the potential reach was, then I realized that not putting some effort into that and not engaging there would really be a loss.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things we do as well, as I said earlier, I actively run a report about a week after the event, just to catch all the people that watched the video later or commented later, and then I go to the active engagers list and I go click, 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 circle, 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 and then I send them all a message. And it's just a message to say thanks. You know, it was great that you came along. Hope you got something from it. And I'm not sending a message out to 500 people who didn't watch. I'm sending out a message to 50, 100 people who did watch, who did engage. And that improves the engagement on the event as well. You know, you don't get so many people saying, please stop messaging me.
So do we have any questions out there? And I know I saw some of you wringing your hands like you had something to say. Do we have any questions? Any comments?
There's a few from on the comment stream itself from Krishna D. She made a comment, will I be taking people through creating the API key in real time? The answer is not right now. but we may do that later. If enough people want to do it, I am more than happy to produce a Hangout or be on a Hangout and show people how to do it. Because I don't want people to be put off by thinking, oh, API, it's so hard. It isn't. Trust me, it is so easy.
Mm-hmm.
And she also asks, do you need a different API key for each profile and page that is connected to the profile? The answer to that question is the API key is tied to the domain, the website. So you do need a different key for each website, yes.
That's good to know.
And what is my favourite WordPress plugin? Don't know. Don't use WordPress.
Oh, now you're going to get us all upset here because most of us do, don't we?
Well, I tell a lie. I do use WordPress, but I tend to prefer Joomla because it will allow me to put my own flavour, my own code in there, so I can play around with it and manipulate the look and feel a lot easier. One of my websites, my own website, actually runs WordPress purely and simply so that if somebody says, "Is this possible in WordPress?" I can open up my WordPress site and hack the code and go, "Yeah, it's possible."
Yeah, WordPress is a really nice tool for those of us who are not coders. So it's very easy to get plugins, and there are plugins, a lot of free plugins for everything.
Oh yeah, I've seen sites be put up in literally an hour, 2 hours using WordPress.
Yep.
So Michael, you talked about taking an embedded post and doing something fancy so that it would appear more pleasing on your Joomla website. Could you, if you happen to run across something that would work in WordPress, would you share it with the rest of us, please, so that our post could look as good on WordPress as yours do?
Yeah, there's two basic elements that you need. One of them is the code, which everybody can get. You just click the drop-down menu and click Embed Post. Now, there are two parts to that Embed Post. The first part is the JavaScript. If you can put that in the header of the template, then you never need to put it anywhere else on your website. But there's nothing to stop you putting it in every time you embed the post. So you've got the code, okay, that's great. How do you get it into the WordPress site? Now, I'm going to assume something here. I'm going to assume that WordPress has a plugin that allows you to put raw HTML in, or that while you're in the article in the back end, you can click a button that says Switch Editor, so you actually see the raw HTML. If you can access that raw HTML, you can embed the post. The only other thing I do that's slightly different is I wrap say that's the content for the post. I wrap it in a div and then create code for that div to make it look slightly different. And curiously enough, I believe I have a tutorial on that, so I'll link through to it, not a problem.
Okay, that would be good. And did you say diff, and what is it? Not GIF, diff, what is a diff?
Div, a CSS selector. Okay. Basically what it is a way of saying, take this code, move it into the middle, put a round board around it, give me a grey drop shadow, and make it look different. And that means you have to edit the CSS for the template. So what I will do is have a look at the walkthrough, the tutorial I've got, see if I can make it a little bit more general so people who are using WordPress can use it, and I'll put a link on the event page to that as well.
Thank you, and thank you, Kathy. You see how quickly, when you invite people into the film strip, how quickly we can hijack your program?
Oh, I'm glad. I learn a lot when we have these conversations, because having other people ask the questions is really nice for those who are watching, because you don't even think about those questions until someone poses them. So I appreciate all the insight and input that you guys have. So keep it going. If you have some more questions, or if you want to switch topics to something else we mentioned today, feel free to do that too, because I'm going to try offering this. We're no longer stopping at 11:30 now. We're going to try this at Scott's request. He asked that we have a little extended time so that viewers can come in and start talking, and we can have a conversation based on what we've already talked about. So
yeah, and for those watching the replay, by all means ask questions in the comment stream, and I'll come back in. If you tag me, I will definitely come back in and respond. Not a problem. I'm more than happy to do that.
That's great. Well, since we have everyone here and I don't hear any more questions about the interactive posts, I wanted to ask, are any of you familiar with Plus Post ads?
Nope. Heard of
No?
them. That's about it.
We're not going to talk about it a lot today because I don't know that much about it, but I think that's another topic that I'm going to delve into because although it might not be great for everyone, I think it might have a place in healthcare. And Plus Post ads, I really don't understand them all entirely, but I've been trying to read about them where you use the engagement, the positive conversations about your brand and turn them into ads on other sites. So I can see where I put these two together because interactive posts and Plus Post ads were both mentioned in the Forbes article that I posted on the event page, and they're both similar, I think, in my mind, and I think that the person who wrote the article thought they were similar too. But in the case of bad reviews, for example, or not enough reviews, I think this could be a real alternative to that, where you could build your brand by focusing in on the positive conversations that people are having around your health system, your hospital, your facility, your practice, and using those as ads that are placed in the right places. And again, I don't understand how it all works, and so I was curious if any of you had heard about that.
Boy, you know, I hear about those sorts of things, and then my eyes kind of glaze over because I'm not in a marketing department at a hospital or a healthcare facility. But I can see that if there is someone out there who is in a department like that and they really drill down, it could be gold to be able to, you know, parlay what is organically and naturally created on the stream, and then to be able to manipulate it so that it could go and be placed in strategic places where it's really needed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and let's go back to another topic that I brought up, the Google Plus app. Have any of you seen the new style of the app?
I
Nobody?
like it.
Silence is golden. Tell us, Kathy.
I really like it, and I'm usually really harsh on updates. I like to think that I'm good with change, but I'm really not. I just stay silent about it most of the time, and I secretly curse all these changes. Yeah, he's holding it up. It's very streamlined. It's very basic. It's got a red bar across the top, and the rest is the viewing screen, which I love. Let me there we go. I did create a video, and it's on my website, and it walks you through the highlights of it. Yep, he's showing you. It's real basic. What's nice is everything you want to see, especially on big phones, is right there. And
Oh, this is a baby phone.
Yeah, what I liked about it, though, is once you know where the navigation screen is, because it's just a little drop-down arrow, one of those little V's that you don't think about clicking on, but once you click on it, you have basically all your navigation. You can go pick a particular circle that you want to view the stream of. You can go to your communities and go straight to that page and see what's been posted in a particular community. You can go to the event page and see what's coming up or what you've missed. It's all very easy to navigate. What I found was hard to figure out at first was how to send a post. And that's why I created that video, because once I realized how to do it, it was really easy, but I spent a lot of time scratching my head because you no longer look for the box where you type in the beginning of your circle name or the beginning.
Yeah.
Instead, you touch on the blue hyperlink of the default. And we've got somebody else showing this now. Lee's holding his up. Put it down a little bit so we can see the top of your screen, Lee. What were you, is that, yeah, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if any of you get irritated by this, but it defaults to your last post. So if you posted something to a certain group of circles, it defaults to those same circles, and I always have to edit those because it's a bazillion different circles that I have to take away before I add to. And when you touch on those, it brings you to that box, and you can remove them, you can add to them, you can select who you want to post to. So that's just the little weird thing I didn't really like, but once I got the hang of it, it's no big deal. So I suggest that if you haven't updated your app, go and manually update it so you can if it's out there. I'm assuming that they're giving people that update available. I don't know if they're doing that. If they're pushing it or if you can pull it.
I actually used Google Plus for the first time in a week a couple of days ago, the Google Plus mobile, and it was just automatically there. So I was surprised to see it, and then when being a Luddite that I am, I wanted it to be how it was. I don't like change. No, But then when I started playing with it, and I thought, you know what, this makes sense. And it's right thumb orientated, which is great. Click, click. Sorry,
Yeah.
lefties.
Yeah, well, I'm left-handed and I didn't mind it at all.
Oh, good.
I'm used to having to reach across for everything, but what I did want to stress is when I looked at it, and as hard as it was for me to go, ugh, what do they have red? It's all red, and it's disturbing, it's different, and I don't know where anything is. And about a half hour later, I was zooming through it and loving it, and I thought, this is the way all apps should be. And even if you're not a big mobile fan on Google+, take a look at it. And if you have any mobile apps that you're using in your profession, see what they've done that maybe you should do as well, because the simplicity of it is just beautiful.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Is one of the reasons, kind of returning back to Plus My Reach for a moment. One of the things that I like about working with Laurie and the other guys is I'm a developer and I can take a concept and I can turn it into code and then make it work. But the problem is the user interface usually sucks because I'm a developer. Now, when you've got somebody like Laurie on the team, and she really does drive me hard at times, it'll be, well, it needs to be this colour and that needs to be a little bit over that way, and can we change this, can we change that? And I give her very little friction, I just get it done because I understand it's coming from the point of view of an average user, a regular user. Whereas I think something is really sensible. You know, I read a book some time ago by Steve something or other called Don't Make Me Think. And it's about web design and how web design should be really simple. And the best way of testing if anybody out there designs websites and wants to do user experience testing, the easiest way of doing it is finding the worst possible person you can think of, somebody who doesn't even use computers or uses them very little. Sit them in a chair and tell them to navigate to a particular area of the website, buy a pair of shoes, find the contact details, stand behind them, put some duct tape over your mouth and just watch. And you'll be so surprised at how, even me, I do this. I've watched people use Plus My Reach and I've gone, oh my God, I need to change that. I don't realise how stupid I've done something, you know, like, for example, the subscriptions was over on the right hand side before. People couldn't give me money. So like, oh, I need to move that. You know, doing things like, okay, so if somebody hasn't got a subscription, do I make them subscribe? Do I take them there? No, but I give them the option. Rather than just displaying a message saying, hey, you need a subscription, give them a link. Give them the option of going there. If they access something they shouldn't, it doesn't tell them off and shut them out. It just simply takes them back to a page that they should be on, the one that we think that they should be on. And if only, I'm not saying Plus My Reach's user experience is perfect. It has a long way to go. But little by little, we listen to the beta testers and we listen to regular users and we say to them, you know, what would you like to see? What would make it easier? And that's where the scheduled reports came from. You know, that was one of the requests. Mm-hmm. I've currently got about 10 different pages open with different pieces of code being tested, and hopefully those will get launched in the next week. And I want the system, well, not just Plus My Reach, but any system I develop to be simple, nice and easy. So, and it's especially important when you're developing a system like this that nobody else is doing. So you have to make it, how can I say, guided, so that when somebody goes to the website, it's obvious what the website does. Then when they have a subscription, it's obvious how to create a report. Then when they create a report, it's obvious how to get to that report. And I think when you ran the report, you will probably have seen a little gear icon that came up and it says click here. And before you get a chance to click, usually it takes you to the overview page because it redirects, which I think is nice. It saves a click. So I like things to be simple. I think things should be simple for the techies because we're too busy. We just want to go click, click, give me the meat, give me the information, goodbye. And it should be simple for the people who are not techies because you need to guide them through the and guide them through how to use your system. Scott have a few thoughts on that, I'm guessing.
Oh, you were reading my mind. Well, all I was thinking is that you've invented a new job description of curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon.
Yeah, you're looking for curmudgeons to take a look at your website to give you feedback.
Yeah.
Well, there's a comment here that Janine Bevan says, I have my 12-year-old test for me. He's surprisingly good at picking out the rough spots on my pages. And, I do that even when my husband doesn't ask me. I give him feedback on his website, on his system. He'll say, I'm not the one in charge of that. And I said, well, I'm telling you anyway.
And that's what is known as, what is it called? Something like saying truth to power?
Yeah.
Yep. But I think that's a good message, that you keep things simple, that you keep your audience in mind, and that you don't try to talk about the things, you don't try to push the information that you think they should read, but you should give the information that they're looking for and make it in an easy-to-access location, and simplicity is golden. So we're going to have to wrap it up now. We are at the 45-minute mark, which is really exciting that we get here so quickly and we have such good conversations. So I'm going to wrap up today's show, and once we say goodbye, you're welcome to stay in the conversation offline. We seem to have our best conversations when the camera's off. So I don't know why that is, but I love it. So thank you, all of you who joined me, Lee and Scott and Wayne, and especially Michael, who is with Plus My Reach. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope we're going to have some more. And this is signing off to What's News in Healthcare Social Media with me, Kathy Brown at Brown Knows Social Media. Thank you for watching, and see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.